Hey guys, Teresa here. Welcome back to my channel, Lost in My Thread. I'm here today to catch you up with everything I made in the month of September. I feel like I actually did a fair bit of sewing in September, but I don't actually have very much to show for it today. And that is because the one thing that I was working on the most in September was technically finished in October. So it's a work in progress in this video. I will be talking about it after I share my finished makes, but then I will also be giving a 24 for 2024 update and a general life update. As always, there are chapters down below if you want to skip around. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing today, which is the Peppermint Wrap top designed by In the Folds for Peppermint Magazine. Now, I didn't actually make this in September. I made it at the end of last year with the intention of dyeing it, which I did with avocado stones and avocado skins, which is where you get this beautiful blush pink color that's all over the fabric. But I have also mentioned earlier this year that after I'd washed and worn it a couple of times, I noticed that there were some areas of the fabric that the color had faded. So it's a cotton double gauze fabric I got from Sew Me Sunshine. Really lovely top in general, and I was really disappointed that these little blotches were basically making it unwearable. It just looked really odd. It looked really odd where they were placed. There was like a couple on the back of the sleeves and on the back of the shirt, which made me suspicious that probably it wasn't bleached, unless it got mixed in maybe with something bleachy in the washing machine. Anyway, however it happened, I knew that I needed to do something to fix it. I decided to go ahead and just embrace the white splotches and put them all over the fabric. So I got some bleach that I diluted and I put some gloves on and I basically kind of drizzled and blobbed it all over this fabric. I got it nice and wet first and I moved the fabric around, put the splotches in a very irregular pattern all over it, and then I put it into a hydrogen peroxide, diluted hydrogen peroxide mix, just to make sure that I neutralize the acids in the bleach, because I know it can eat away your fabric if you're not careful. I then rinsed it all really thoroughly, threw it in the washing machine, and here we are. So I will say this was not my original intention with this top, and I am a little sad still that I lost the original top that I intended to make, but I really do love the way this looks in the end. I think it definitely looks intentional. It looks like the design of the fabric, and in all honesty, it's a fabric that I would be very tempted to buy if I had seen it with this design on it. I still love the color, and it is now definitely fully wearable and back in my wardrobe, so I feel like I definitely took this one away from potentially being something I had to throw away, and it feels like a real success. The second thing I will show you guys is another alteration. So I had mentioned that I wanted to work on this top in my last video. This is the Ashton top by Helen's Closet that I made with a whole mix and match of fabrics. This is all fabric scraps made up into this. The issue I had with this, so this is all like relatively heavier weight, so like cotton poplin or quilting cotton, so fairly structured fabric, and I felt like it just wasn't hanging and draping on me terribly well. The Helen's Closet Ashton top is meant to be quite a bell shape, so it really goes out quite a bit. But the other thing is I felt like it was just a little bit tight across the bust. You guys can probably see in the photos. I wasn't super happy with the fit of it, and what I decided I wanted to do was to take the side seams out, add an additional panel with a button placket, which I'd intended to do. I forgot to do it when I was cutting the pieces out. So hopefully you can see on there, I've added some buttons and I feel like it goes well. This is not one of the same fabrics. It's pretty similar to these. I think they're both Rifle Paperco fabrics, but I feel like the fabric that I've used on there definitely works well with the others. And I've got that on both sides. I think I chose a nice color of button that complements the other colors on this top well. I also decided to straighten this up a little bit. So because it is quite a bell shape, I decided from the bottom edge, I wanted to take it in 1.5 inches at the front and the back of each side, which in the end is a full 6 inches from the bottom of that. And I feel like that's just a better shape for me with this kind of fabric. I think the Ashton top is nice with that shape if you have a bit of a drapier fabric, but if it's more structured, I think it's nice to be a little bit more fitted. But I would definitely need these side buttons to be able to get this top on and off if it's going to be that fitted. I did also unpick and restitch some of the binding that I felt like wasn't sitting quite flat, the bias binding. And I am so much more happy with this now. I will say this is not something I'm planning to wear this time of year. It's going to be tucked away for spring and summer for next year. But I'm so happy that I actually got it all ready to go, because I knew if I left it and didn't finish it, it was going to hang over me and I would feel really sad when I saw it next spring and summer. So I know now that I can pack this away, it'll be ready to go for me. I think it's going to be a really cute top to wear, and I'm excited to actually have it now fully wearable. And the only other finished make that I have to share with you guys, which feels like the only real start to finish project, is this jumpsuit. So this is my Precious Fabrics jumpsuit. I made a video talking about the idea of this jumpsuit, how I was planning on designing it, the fabric that I was using. This is a Louis Vuitton, ex-Louis Vuitton fabric. It's a stretch viscose fabric, so viscose jersey fabric with incredible drape and movement. I got it from Selvedge and Bolts 4 years ago, and I just sat on it not knowing exactly what to do with it. I had a vision of what I wanted to do. I did have to pivot a little bit, but honestly, I am so happy that I finally sewed this up. I think this jumpsuit is amazing. This is a mashup of the Adrienne Blouse by Friday Pattern Company on the top and the Sallie Jumpsuit by Closet Core Patterns on the bottom. I had made both of those patterns before. I knew that the Sallie Jumpsuit, because it has elastic at the shoulder seam and it's a stretchy fabric, I know that I can wriggle it down over my hips and get it back on again very easily, and so it just seemed like a really good option for a jumpsuit. The Sallie Jumpsuit is just a wide leg jumpsuit with an elastic waist with some nice pockets on the hip. I feel like the styles worked well together, and I feel like it generally was a successful mashup. The only thing was that I was definitely pretty limited when I laid all my pattern pieces out, and I got to a point where I laid everything out and I saw that there was just no way it was going to fit the way I wanted it to. Sat and stared at it for like a good half hour, tried rotating the fabric in the opposite direction because it had 4-way stretch. I tried just maneuvering things around thinking, well, what if I shorten this a little bit, because the legs are actually super long. I was able to take a good chunk off the length of the inseam. But even then, it was just really too tight and I knew that it wasn't going to fit. And I basically decided to just pack it away and give myself a minute to rethink what to do. I ended up messaging Chloe, one of my sewing friends, over on Instagram because I know she had made the Adrienne Blouse before. I knew that she generally is very creative and often has some really good solutions to problems in her own sewing. And I wanted to just talk to somebody who I felt like would sympathize with my problem. It's always really disappointing when you have an idea and a vision in your mind and you have to stray from it. I was debating whether to adjust the pattern and maybe do something a bit different or just completely changing my plans. But this was definitely pretty last minute. I was at the stage where I had to really cut this fabric out and sew it up within the next couple of days to still be in time for this challenge. She showed me a couple of versions of her Adrienne blouses with short sleeves because I was a little bit on the fence whether I wanted the short sleeve. And she showed me a picture of one with a cuff. And when I saw the cuff and I saw how it was gathered into the cuff, that basically sold me. I thought, you know what, I think that is the solution for me. So the Adrienne blouse is usually relatively long. It's like a 3/4 length sleeve, possibly even a little bit longer than 3/4 length. But I shortened it right down to just more like a short sleeve, and I added that cuff detail. Now I will say the cuff could have definitely been tighter, but I didn't want it to be too tight. I want it to be comfortable when I move around, and I actually feel like the shape of it has a bit more of a relaxed feel. Now the original vision that I had was with those longer sleeves, and shortening it I felt like I wasn't sure if I was still going to feel like it was the idea and the design that I was going for. But honestly, I feel like it kind of dressed it down and made it more comfortable and casual, which means I feel like I'm more likely to wear this. If it had the longer sleeve, I feel like it would have felt a little bit more like evening-y, and I would have felt like I couldn't maybe wear it to work. As it is, I've worn this to work. I feel fabulous. Generally, I feel like it's a really great shape and a fit for me. I'm really happy with the alterations that I made. So I did slightly adjust the shape of the Adrienne blouse to go out a little bit just in the bust area because it was a little bit tight in my previous versions. I feel like the shape, the fit is definitely spot on. Like I said, the movement on this jumpsuit is so much fun. Just when you're moving and swishing the legs around, the way everything moves and flops and flows, it's really nice to wear. The color is fabulous. I definitely feel amazing in it, and it was a big success to finally get this fabric out of the stash and out into a garment that I can now wear in the wild. And I won a prize for this one. So these were randomly selected prizes, but I was of course very excited to have been chosen for this. I won a year subscription to the paid version of Stash Hub, and I won 3 Sew Over It patterns. I picked the Florence dress by Sew Over It. This is a really beautiful feminine dress. It's a shirt dress with a mandarin collar, really nice feminine sleeves. There's elastic at the waist to give you a bit of shaping. This one is definitely really good for drapier fabrics, lighter weight fabrics with a bit of movement. I am considering whether this might be a good one for my silk velvet that I've got for my Christmas dress. So I think I need to try this out with some other fabric first and see what I think of the shape. I also picked up the Estelle dress, which is designed for jersey fabrics. I like the neckline, this length of the sleeve, the length of the dress. I feel like this is a really nice one that you could definitely wear to work, or you could dress it up when you're going out. I like that tie detail there on the side. I feel like that's a really nice flattering shape, and I feel like it would work well with more of like a drapey jersey fabric. It's definitely one that I'd be curious to try out, and I think it would be really comfortable for the autumn and winter. I also picked up the Farrah jumpsuit because I am still very much in my jumpsuit kick at the moment. This is another boiler suit style jumpsuit, but this one feels a little bit more feminine. This is a button front rather than the zipper, and it's got some elastic at the waist, which I think is a really nice detail, adds a little bit more shape. Generally, sort of the shape of the leg I feel like is a bit more feminine as well. This I am thinking would work really well for maybe like a cotton twill fabric, possibly something with a pattern on it like a floral print. We'll have to wait and see when the perfect fabric arrives, but I feel like this could be really cool. And then the one project that I was working on the most in September that I didn't quite finish until October is the quilt that I've been working on. This is the Standing Tall quilt by Cedar Quilt Co. This one has been a long time coming. This has been a slow project for me. I've had to be very limited with the amount of time that I can spend sewing on it, just because of the physical bulk of the quilt. Put a lot of strain on my back and on my wrist, which is still recovering. And so I had to take my time with this one, and it definitely ate into a lot of my sewing time in September. I'm excited to finally share the finished quilt with you guys in October because I need to wait until I got proper photos of it. But just to say, that was definitely a big portion of my sewing time, and it was definitely worth all that time in the end. Speaking of my back and my wrist, I feel like I will give a brief update about life in general. So key things I've had going on, definitely some health issues that have been just annoying and in the background. I threw my back out back in August. It is definitely hugely improved. It's not 100% of the way there, but it's probably like, I don't know, 85% at this point. It's way, way better than it was. And I've definitely been able to do most of the things that I need to do, that I want to do. Still having additional work because there is a little bit of strengthening I think to do, but I feel like I'm headed in the right direction, which is really positive. My hand and my wrist generally are still at pretty much a standstill. I did see the consultant again last month. They're going to send me for some more tests because this is what they do. But I will say that I've been noticing here and there that there are things that I've been able to do with my hand that I hadn't been able to do before. So I was doing a little bit more hand sewing and it was actually okay. I was able to do it for quite a while before it started to feel a little bit achy. So I feel like there probably is still just very, very slow progress. It's just so slow, it's difficult to see at this point. For anybody who's not aware, I'm talking about an issue I've been having with my ulnar nerve. So it's on this sort of outer side of my hand, my pinky and my ring finger, pain and tingling that I get in my hand and my wrist. Very similar to like a carpal tunnel, but it's on the opposite side. And the main issue I have is pain. But yeah, like I said, it's nice to at least feel like there is maybe some slow progress, and at the very least, it's not stopping me from doing the majority of my crafty things that I want to do, and that is really important because that is where I get a lot of the joy in my life. So I'm going to slide right into my 24 for 2024 updates. I'll pop a picture up on the screen and a link up here if you didn't see the video where I originally talked about this. At the beginning of the year, I talked about 24 things I was hoping to do in 2024. There were some that were more like sewing and crafty related, but the majority were not. They were more just things I wanted to do for me. And I have some bits that I'm able to cross off now. So one of the things I wanted to do was to bring regular meditation back into my life. I have periodically meditated at different stages of my life, and I generally feel like it's a better thing for me when I'm able to do that. I feel like there's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation where I do more meditation when my life feels a bit more calm and I have the time and the space to meditate. But when I meditate, I feel like I'm more calm and I feel like things are a bit more gentle. So sometimes it's hard to tell what is causing what, but it was something that I knew that I wanted to try and incorporate back into my life to just bring a little bit more peace and calm. And I was periodically throughout the year doing some meditation here and there, but I didn't feel like I was being hugely successful with it. I decided I need a little bit more of a specific plan of how and when I was going to meditate. And I found out recently that I work for the NHS in the UK. If you work for the NHS in the UK, you have access to get a free subscription to the Headspace app. I have had Headspace before when it first came out. I played around with it because there was like a 30-day free trial situation. It was quite different back then, I will say. And I am not someone who's usually into a guided meditation. I usually just prefer to just sit, set a timer and just meditate and just try to clear my thoughts. If they come, that's fine. Try to let them go and move on. But I felt like I was struggling a bit with that, and I thought it might be useful to try a guided meditation. So I got the Headspace app through my work, and I found that there were some really nice, like, I wouldn't say, I guess they're like courses or programs where there's a series of different audio clips, different lessons where you will have someone talking to you generally about a theme, giving you like a visualization, for example. And what I noticed that I wasn't expecting is while you're doing that, there's a lot of periods of just space where they're telling you to just breathe, for example, and it goes on for quite a long, like maybe 15-20 seconds. And I felt like as the course went on, the gaps got longer and longer, and it basically to me felt like it was kind of guiding you in, easing you into just meditating on your own without having this additional guide there, this additional visualization there. And I felt like it was a good starting point for me to get back into it. The other thing that was useful about a guided meditation is I found that I could do it while I was like sitting on the train on my commute to work. So I can't do that when I'm driving, of course, but if I was taking the train, in which I have been, I find that it's actually a really nice time to just sit, close my eyes, and just try and relax. Whether I'm doing it on my way to work, on my way home from work, either way is really beneficial. And I found that as I was doing it, I actually started to really enjoy doing it. And even on my days off, I wanted to do it. And so I feel like I've been able to bring meditation gradually into my life again. I'm not doing it every single day, and I don't want to do like a standard like expectation for myself of how often, but the point is that I feel like I am interested in doing it more, and I've been enjoying doing it, and I'm counting that one as one where I can cross off my list. Number 15, bring regular meditation back into my life. Now I do also, because I have this like free membership, I can also give a 30-day free trial to anyone if they're interested. This is not sponsored by Headspace. I get nothing. There's no like affiliation, but basically I just noticed it in my app. There's a code that you guys can use if you wanted to do a 30-day free trial. I don't know if you're going to like it. Don't worry if you're not interested, but if you are curious to give it a try, have a look at the link down below and you can have a little free trial. I've also been working through the books that I wanted to reread this year. So this is my Haiku Volume 3, Summer to Autumn by R.H. Blythe. I have some really good haiku that I read from this one. I'm nearly finished with this one, so I feel like I'm pretty on track as far as finishing one per season. So I will put some haiku down below that I particularly liked from this book. And then the other one that I've been working on is The Complete Poems by E. Cummings. This one I feel like I'm falling behind. I'm probably just over halfway through, and I'm probably not going to finish it this year, but I've been really enjoying reading them when I am reading them, and I don't want to rush it. I want to read it when I feel like I have the time and the space to sit and read some poetry, but I do have a couple from here that I particularly enjoyed that I will put down in the description box as well. And then another one that I get to cross off the list is number 20, which is Go for a Walk in the Heavy Rain Without an Umbrella. So this was one that I was really so desperate to do. I used to do this and used to really enjoy going out in the rain. And like when it's really full on raining, there's something kind of refreshing, and I don't know, you feel really kind of at peace and at one with the world when you do that. And I'd been waiting for the right opportunity, and basically my thought was to do it when you have like a nice summer storm where the weather's warm but it's suddenly really rainy, and it can be really nice to actually get out there and appreciate the rain when it's coming. And then I felt like the time that it seemed right to do it, when the weather was right in the UK, because we haven't had that warm of a summer, was when I threw my back out, and I thought, oh man, I can't go for a walk, because I couldn't even walk for, 10-15 minutes without getting back pain. That was not the experience that I was hoping for. And I was really happy that in September, as my back was improving, we got a bit of a heat wave for a week or so, and we had some mega heavy rain. There was one point where I was sitting, I think I was filming a video actually, and I popped into the kitchen. My husband was doing the dishes, and I was like, Phil, look outside. Do you want to go for a walk? And he was like totally down, which I love. Always amazing to have somebody in your life who is down for some like minimal level hijinks. So he was very happy to do it. We walked out into the rain, and it stopped pretty quickly. It was great for the minute that we were out there, and it came like sudden gushing, and then it just cleared up, and I was like, oh man, it was nice, but it wasn't like the full heavy rain for any length of time for the walk that I was really hoping for. We went home, we had a shower. I still felt happy that we'd done it. And then later on that day in the evening, the rain started really coming down again. And I was like, come on, let's try one more time. So we ran back outside and we actually got completely soaked. We actually had to take a walk to the supermarket to pick something up for our dinner, which was great. It was a great opportunity to go out, and we got full on soaked. I did get some footage because I feel like you can understand what I'm talking about, like how mega heavy that rain is. And I do feel like there's something kind of wonderful of being out there in the rain, no umbrella, just like the earth and you. It was a really nice experience, and it's something that I definitely want to do again in the future. I want to remember how much I enjoy that. I feel like it's almost like some kind of psychological reset for me, and it was a really fun thing to be able to do. So my 24 for 2024 is looking pretty stinking good. I mean, obviously I'm coming to the end of the year. There are a few things on there that I know I'm not going to manage to do this year. I may push them over to next year. I may say it just wasn't meant to be, but either way, I've been really enjoying working through those. I know a lot of you guys have enjoyed watching me work through my lists. If you are somebody who had goals and resolutions for yourself, if you had a 24 for 2024, I would love to get updates about how it's been going for you guys. Obviously, we're also completely allowed to just pivot and change our ideas of what we want to do. Who we were in January is not necessarily who we are in October, so I don't think we need to necessarily stick to it. But for me, it's been a really nice way to just remind myself of fun things that I would like to do, and it just spurs me on to make an opportunity to make it happen. I hope it was fun to catch up and hear what I've been up to in September. I would love to hear what you were doing in September as well. What was the weather like? What was your life like? What sewing projects were you really excited to work on? As always, I'll be back again very soon to see you guys with another video. But if you did enjoy this one, please do make sure you give me a like. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel to see upcoming videos. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!